Hi, I'm Donna.
I'm Danny.
My name is Janelle Suico.
My name is Joaquin Morel.
Hi, my name is Kwame.
My name is Leanne.
My name's Peter.
My name is Cecina Isaac.
My name is Tony.
And Downsview for me means home.
Downsview is my past, present, and future.
It's where I go to be comfortable because it is where I live.
And Downsview Park for me is a place where I feel joy.
A place of home and comfort and a place to appreciate.
I'm new to Downsview, but Downsview doesn't feel new to me.
For me, Downsview will always have a special place in my heart because many of my firsts that I experienced after moving to Canada is associated with Downsview.
As it is for many others who live here, it's my place of firsts.
I first witnessed the seasonal changes in Downsview. My first musical festival was also in Downsview.
My first bike ride, my first day of school, my first driving lesson.
Oh, and also a Canadian special. My first ever goose chase was also near the lake in the park.
The first don't end and will not end here.
Downsview has always been a quiet little neighborhood where I can just sit in the park and think sometimes. Maybe go on some bike trails, enjoy the nature views.
A place to come and see the grass and the water and just chill out mostly.
The place I am most familiar with from the entirety of Canada. This is the neighborhood that I came to know and love.
It makes me feel like I am on vacations.
It's what I'm used to, and it's a part of me. It's close to me.
Trying new things and having opportunities.
Most importantly, Downsview to me means belongingness.
A place of home and comfort.
It's home for me, and I don't see myself moving from this neighborhood anytime soon.
We hold special moments in these places that we see or pass by every day.
Downsview will always have that soft spot in my heart. So I just want to say, dear Downsview, you'll always be beautiful in my eyes. I first witnessed Canada in real life somewhere around late March. For a country many said was heavenly and majestic, my impressions somewhat varied, because all I saw were trees without leaves and soil without grass and wet and muddy puddles. I did not see any majesty in this country, but I stayed optimistic and said to myself, it's just a phase. I moved to North York in April, and we were on our way from Mississauga, and when we reached Downsview, the number of cars and people were reducing. And after turning to the Downsview Boulevard, it was almost empty. This emptiness sort of forced me to look around, and that's when the park caught my eye. It literally stood there like Lady Godiva surrounded by its serenity. It was sort of like an extravagant bouquet of roses in the middle of a desert. Because throughout my journey, all I saw were lifeless trees, right? But the Downsview Park had hills of greenery expanding beyond the horizon. The excitement made my heart race. I was overjoyed to be living in an area secluded from the busy bees of Keele Street, while also being surrounded by such a scenic landmark. This is the moment I agreed with everyone who told me that Canada was majestic and heavenly. Once I visited the park, it continued to amaze me. Just as I walked in, I noticed the lake was filled with geese. But I was warned that they are deadly, which is something I wouldn't take lightly after almost being mauled by a few. As I delved further, I was surrounded by so many trees. It was just them and me on an endless road, like my own form of meditative space. This calmness forced me to be more vigilant, and I noticed tiny blooms and the colorful baby leaves emerging. I was just so happy. I felt that Downsview Park is a sort of hideout for many people who come home after a busy and tiring day at work, to just vent. All by ourselves, reflecting on our actions, thinking about our lives, or even journal. It's just anything we feel like doing. We can be ourselves, judgment-free. Every moment I spent at Downsview Park was peaceful. There were so many loud images in my mind, but the sound was always muted. I could speak to myself and ponder, which is something I usually have to do in a soundless environment and look forward to at the end of my day. It's extremely difficult to find a place filled with such tranquility in this area, and I was in awe to realize Downsview Park is just the place for me. Sometimes I feel like I own the park because I used to spend so much time there. I understand that the park is different for everyone. For me, Downsview Park is sort of my place, and I'm so grateful that such a place exists in this busy town.
It was a normal weekday. I opened the window to see through it. From there, I could see the garden extending to the trees extending to the sky, and the light fading in everything. I took my things and went outside. I closed the door, pulling it hard until it made the sound that it was closed, and used my key with the red keychain to lock it. I walked down the street and turned left to the bus station. There it was, normal as always. The stationary pole marking the 108 bus stop. Cars passing going somewhere, and the sun was right above my head. I still had time, so I kept walking, just 5 more steps, and if you know where it is, you can just go through the branches and get into the woods. I remember how it looked like. I was lucky to see it like this. Trees all around me. My footsteps made the ground crunch under me. If I look up, I could see the light that enters through the small spaces between the leaves, and if the ray of the sun was strong enough, it could leave a light shadow on the soil. There were many kinds of greens. Humidity was spread in the air. Squirrels going somewhere, and the mosquitoes trying to feed on me. There, the time passed by slowly. I felt like there was where I wanted to be. I remember it like the best moment, as if it were part of the human condition to remember things better than they really were. The time were passing fast in the real world. I walked back to the street and took the 108 bus that would take me to the subway. I took advantage of that moment to put my headphones on and listen the song of the day, the one you can't stop singing because your brain is still looking for its end. I also took advantage of the empty seat on the back, waiting for me. 7 minutes later, I was on the subway station. If I could describe all the people I have seen on the subway, where could I start? I thought I could imagine where each person that boarded the train was from, like if the way they look, the way they dress, and the things they do could tell me who they were. I thought I could imagine if they were from a place where it was cold or hot. I thought I could imagine where they were going. It is funny to say I don't even remember where I was going that day, but I remember very well every part of the way. It is funny to say that I just like to go and walk around this neighborhood. It feels like I am on vacations, and it's funny to say that when I moved here, I started to like Toronto.
My experience with Downsview was at its peak when I came to visit Nuit Blanche with my friends. During Nuit Blanche, we mostly spent our time downtown viewing art pieces and shows, but we haven't felt like we have developed the time to appreciate the art down there because of how overcrowded the venues were. Crowded in the sense that you would want to get out. Like nothing else matters other than just getting out and wanting to find a place of more comfortability and calmness, I would say. After seeing a couple sites, we got tired and decided to spend our time commuting home, still having energy to see the art sites in Downsview neighborhood. We got to come to the hub with so many empty spray cans, glow-in-the-dark paint, and the artist told us that we should write beautiful affirmations to give back to ourselves and to the world. This was amazing for me because it allowed us to appreciate what has already been started and also giving us a chance to contribute, which I found nice because it allowed us to connect with the people in our neighborhood. The artist left a beautiful message on the wall saying, "Thank you for providing us with what we need. Good food, safe shelter, and your breathtaking scenes. And as you show us your love, let us learn to preserve so that our future generations can have their turn." After that, we went to explore the wind roses up the hill, which is an amazing way to finish the day because we went to see what was created in our neighborhood. It was a blue flag set up like a compass to celebrate the wind, the view, and the indigenous connections to the place. Honestly, it was such a good experience because it allowed me to see the neighborhood in a different light and get introspective on what this community means to me and how much I appreciate it. One of the things that my friends and I appreciated was the distinction between North York and downtown. Being in an urban space without lots of green space takes a lot away from appreciating nature, which I feel every human needs more of. Having plenty of green space offers so much to relax, exercise, and connect with people, way more unlike the fast-paced environment in downtown. Art is a good way to tell a story, and I think all of us have different perspective and ways of how we see the world, and I think we should have art spaces for people to express that.
Whether it be of anxious heart, tired feet, or of patient calm stance, this part of Downsview could compile many versions of me and states of me as I start and finish a trip. Shepherd West Station, formerly Downsview Station, is the closest point of Line 1 from where I lived. It is quite interesting how this window-roofed place holds seemingly insignificant moments of my time. Waiting for the bus, waiting for the train, waiting for the people to enter the vehicle, or waiting for my mom to pick me up when the snowstorm is underway. However, these moments, when time feels slow and dragging, is abruptly replaced with rush when instances of me being late come to mind. Suddenly, the sunlit long flight of stairs is not so long anymore. Suddenly, the station where I spend a chunk of my time waiting is just reduced to a blur of blue and purple stripes. When it's time to come home after a day of work or school, I make sure to visit the only store inside the station. If time permits and Transit Cafe is still open, I usually enjoy a warm, spicy Jamaican beef patty for just under $3. But I don't always take the bus on my way home. Gloomy, cloudy days are my favorite because I get to walk home with a refreshing breeze, a perfect way to cool down after a long day of hustle.
I moved to Toronto alone at 18 for the first time. I began living on my own. All of a sudden, I had these obligations and responsibilities to fulfill. Things to get done, offices to visit, papers to finalize. It was after leaving one of these tense offices that I had noticed a colorful display on top of a hill. On my second and final visit at this office, I convinced myself I had to go and see it. Climbing the hill felt like a mountain, and all that mattered was the destination. I had walked into a space of peace and serenity. The top of the hill was absolutely incredible. The view minusculed the rest of the city. All of a sudden, I had arrived at my safe haven. As soon as I looked over, I read, "I am right here," reminding me that through stillness, I am always there. That's what Downsview allows me to be. And that's how I would love Downsview to remain.
Windy air fills the day. A cool breeze flows through my hair as I shield my eyes, trying to look down at what seems like Mount Everest staring back at the bottom of my feet. The nerves build up through the surface of my skin, giving me goosebumps, and my heart feels like it's about to send myself propelling far away with how fast it's beating. In my mind, I am trying to psych myself up for my first attempted drop-in without falling on my roller skates. Time and time again, I've been too scared and it's caused me to stumble. But that's what life's about, right? Making these mistakes. Too scared to go, I look up and see a fellow skater. Just do it, they say, to encourage me. I do what they say and just go for it. Down I go at a speed so fast, all I can hear is the whoosh of the wind and all outside distractions are blurred by my sight. And just like that, I'm still standing. A rush of adrenaline and relief flows through my body. I did it. My first drop-in down the ramp at the skate park. Proud of what I just did, after working on it for weeks now, I reward myself with a cold sip of water while I sit down on the nearby bench to rest. I look around at the skate park in front of me, Stanley Green Park. I notice a variety of people, different ages, ethnicities, and even wheels. Here, all wheels are welcomed, from skateboards, bikes, scooters to roller skates. In my peripheral, I can see people who are also experiencing their fair share of firsts. I see an experienced skateboarder repeatedly trying to learn a new trick despite their older age. I can see a teenage boyfriend teaching his girlfriend the basics of balancing on a skateboard while hand in hand. Just like me on my roller skates, these people are experiencing something new. I realize this is the place where people learn, grow, find themselves, and just have fun. I feel like I can spend hours here, not just developing my own skills and hobby, but just to watch and learn from those around the park who are doing just the same. Here we never stop learning, and the fun never ceases to stop either. I am motivated by the young child who fell time and time again and got up without even shedding a tear. I see myself in the other roller skater who is pumping through the bowl without what seems like any worry in the world. But just like me, they were once a newbie who also felt like they were at the summit of Mount Everest while at the top of the ramp. It just took years and years, plus practice and practice, to get to where they are today. Not only did I experience a first at Stanley Green today, I know it certainly won't be the last. Finally rested, I take one last sip of my water and confidently get up to go down the ramp once again.
It was just another late summer weekend in 2015. School had already started. Most of the other guys were probably either getting their homework dealt with or slacking off until there was no choice but to start crunching on assignments. I had only one thing on my mind that afternoon. I knew Tyler, the creator, was going to be in the area doing a show. The rapper that won the 2011 MTV VMA Award for Best New Artist. The man who would later become two-time Grammy Award winner. And he was going to be performing live, right in my neighborhood.
Hello.
But I didn't have a ticket to attend. But how could I? I was just a jobless 16-year-old. I still felt incredibly green with envy. I could hear the crowd cheer through the various acts from the open window in my room. Just a brisk bike ride away from my home. I decided I was going to watch one of my favorite artists from outside the fence. If I can afford to go, then I guess doing that was the next best thing. I grabbed my rare copy of Golf magazine and rushed outside to my bike. "Mom, I'm going to head out for a bit," I announced as I stepped out the door. "Be home for dinner," she called back. "Sorry, Mom. I'm going to be home a little later than usual." I pedaled faster than what was probably safely allowable. I make it over there, and there's a steep hill ahead of me. I dismount from my bike and rush towards the top, dirt flying from beneath my feet. And there, I could see it, Tyler walking out to start his set. I wasn't able to get the full view of the stage. The crowd was scattered around like an army of ants, but I could hear every song, and that's all that mattered. I reached in my bag for a drink, and I saw my issue of Golf magazine again. Why did I pack it? I realized I must have packed it with the subconscious thought of potentially meeting Tyler. Why stop here? This might be the only chance I ever get to meet one of my idols. I watch him finish his set, and I run straight towards the area where I think artists are being picked up and dropped off. Just then, a white SUV pulls out, and I wave it in the air at the SUV as it slowly passes. The SUV comes to a complete stop. It's none other than Tyler, with a big wide smile on his face. "Sorry for that show," the autograph says. I couldn't care how that show went. This was already a peak life moment for me. I never thought I'd feel starstruck in my own neighborhood. I mean, Downsview of all places. As the SUV drives away, me and Tyler just start screaming obscenities at each other, ironically. It was and still is one of the best moments of my life. I could remember just showing up to school the next day. Everyone had already seen me post the photo to Facebook. The lady who took it got it kind of blurry. Everyone knew I met Tyler, and I did it in my own backyard.
My local library and I don't have the smoothest relationship. I've racked up so many overdue book fees. I've returned wrong books. I've donated dirty books that I should have thrown out. And once I lost my library card twice in 1 week. And then after all this history, I ignore it for years. I stop being interested in reading as I get older, and I leave its books behind. I get my own computer of its own internet, so I stop visiting their old Windows 2000 towers and Jello Blue iMacs. It's been years since I've ever considered dragging the thought of the library to the front of my mind, and I probably would have stayed that way until a couple of years ago, when my library shut down for some big construction project. I understand I wasn't very nice to the things the library agreed to share with me, and I haven't really given it a thought in ages. I probably deserved this sort of response. I get it. It was too nice to me, and it had enough. It's tough being a library these days, and to get my attention back, it had to change things up in a big way. This is Yorkwood's library now, fresh out of a very thorough 3-year-long renovation project. It's basically an entirely new building, and it hit me as soon as I walked into the building that the library I knew from my childhood no longer exists. In its place now is a facility that's prettier, shinier, and filled with more useful spaces. The Tech Lab. 3D printers. Walk up to one of these machines, press the right buttons, and in a couple of hours a little toy appears that you can take home, permanently, with no returns or late fees. This library runs workshops for 3D printer training, and from this, many young 3D printing enthusiasts and regular visitors to the space make it lively and feel like a real community. I would show you the kids working in the space, learning 3D modeling and printing, but there are rules about filming strangers, so you're just gonna have to pretend they're here. Here's another empty room that would also be busy if I wasn't pointing a camera at it. This is the use space on the second floor, with a wonderful mural painted by brilliant community artists. And in the basement, more rooms. A bit more drab without a mural of its own, but it's a lot quieter. There's also more study rooms scattered around the building that I couldn't film. The library has a lot of quiet spaces available to the community that can be booked out for any use, which is great for me since there's a ton of construction outside my house now, and I don't have a quiet space of my own anymore. I'm rediscovering my new library as a place to just sit down, get some work done, mess around with a 3D printer, and also borrow a guitar. Then I could play with this funny little tube thing. That's neat. And if I ever get the chance, I could also see something in the theater. The theater was a part of the library before, and I'm glad this didn't really change much, as far as I can remember. How many libraries do you know that have a stage? This building regularly shows movies here for the community, and if you want to show your own movie or put your own stage play on, you can. I'll wrap this up by saying that I miss the old library like I miss my childhood. Occasionally and intensely, but in the end, I'll remember that it wasn't really that great anyways, and there's a reason I moved on from it. But when the spaces around me change to meet my needs today, and offer things I didn't know I wanted, I'm appreciative, and I'll be visiting this new library many times, as will any other space I run across that's new and improved.
Oh, the first time I remember when first moved here, it was around like 2019, and I didn't know anything. And like my parents, like I'm into like gardening and that kind of stuff, so like my parents like just were like, okay, let's go somewhere, and they just like took me there, and it was like really nice because for me everything was new. Like the garden part is just, I don't know, it just felt like home. Where I used to live, like there was a lot of like, it wasn't like a big city like here, right? So I just felt close. It was the same. It wasn't like here in Canada, here there in Argentina. It was like all the same. Like I would also go like there on walks and just like look at the plants and stuff. The first time I went to the hill, I was on my own, because you can see like all throughout the city. Like you can see the CN Tower, you can see like up north, you can see everywhere. For me, it was just felt like you said before, like everything felt close. Now I don't go on my own, but like after that, like I would tell my friends, hey, there's this place there. In the future, I envision Downsview Park evolving into a modern green oasis in the heart of North York, with diverse infrastructure for the community and without the rapid development of condos and skyscrapers that downtown Toronto is characterized by. I hope to see the park continue to be a green oasis for the people of Toronto who want a place to experience a little bit of nature close to their homes. I would also like to see the park continue its commitment to fostering a sense of community by expanding its event offerings, cultural activities, and engaging programs that cater to people of all ages and backgrounds. Finally, it would be in my great interest to see more community gardens added to the park, and more events that are normally only seen in downtown Toronto taking place at Downsview Park all year round. For instance, the hill in the heart of the park could be also used as a space for small concerts that local upcoming artists could organize for the community. These concerts would benefit both the community and artists because it would help them gain visibility. For me, both the community garden and the hill are the two most important parts of Downsview Park. However, future developments should take into account all members of the community in order to make the park a place where everyone feels welcome.
In the future, I hope that Downsview will not only be a perfect mix of urban, residential, and environmental spaces, I dream for it to have a distinct art space as well, just like how the Guild Park, High Park, and Errol Bales Park have their unique outdoor stages in Stummer Place.
But if we had a permanent stage here for any sort of live event, would be just great.
Being such a central location of the North York area, Downsview is in much need for a major all-rounded community center. A place where education, community building, the arts, culture, health and entertainment is the perfect addition to what Downsview needs.
Whether it's fitness, classes that can be hosted, and equipment for people to borrow and learn from.
I was thinking that it would be nice to have like an art studio, but for all kind of disciplines, like for music, for theater, with production equipment and art supplies and things like that.
Youth programming and mentorship here will be encouraged.
I think Downsview will attract a great deal of people, mainly due to its history and development. I'd like a museum or memory archive to save the details for future generations. I would also like to see it contributing to film preservation, which is something that's seldom done worldwide.
Film is a big part of a space's identity, or it can be a big part of a space's identity, especially in North America, where a lot of film production is done. But it's also a space where a lot of American film production is done, and I think a space for productions that aren't just limited to film would be great for this neighborhood.
I would also be overjoyed if a film studio where ordinary people can be part of is built, because many film studios are unreachable to entry-level filmmakers, and I hope this studio helps us start from scratch and develop our talent step by step.
That being said, I'd love for there to be some sort of like 24/7 creative hub in general, just for like, not only for folks to come in there and incubate their own ideas, just some place to go after school.
Though I love the stillness and calmness Downsview has, I would love to see a little more color and life and vibrance to it. My first week in the city, I came across a beautiful mural that had all sorts of images with all sorts of people, different cultures, and I was absolutely stunned, and I would love to see more of this.
I think sometime last year, the largest esports venue in Toronto shut down. Gaming itself is like a multi-billion-dollar industry, and if a new venue could be opened up with like computers set up and everything, I think it'd be a great place to host esports events.
I hope to see this area grow and flourish to a safe, welcoming, and established neighborhood. Just as I see it today, it will continue to embrace culture, youth, fun, and community.